Actually, the first thing we're going to do is look at the Torah reading for this week, which is Exodus chapter 10, verses 1 through 9. Exodus chapter 10, 1 through 9.
You started now?
Yes. You can go ahead and read Exodus 10, 1 through 9.
And Yahweh said to Moshe, "Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants, so that I show these signs of mine before him, and that you relate in the hearing of your son and your son's son what I have done in Mizraim, and my signs which I have done among them, and you shall know that I am Yahweh." And Moshe and Aaron came into Pharaoh and said to him, "Thus said Yahweh Elohim of the Hebrews, till when shall you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go so that they serve me. Or else I will refuse to let my people, or else if you refuse to let my people go, see, tomorrow I am bringing locusts within your borders, and they shall cover the surface of the land so that no one is able to see the land. And they shall eat the rest of what has escaped, which remains to you from the hail. And they shall eat every tree which grows up for out of the field. And they shall fill your houses, and the houses of all your servants, and the houses of all the Mizrahites, which neither your fathers nor your fathers' fathers have seen, since the day that they were on the earth to this day." Then he turned and went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said to him, "So when would this be, for this one be a snare to us? Let the men go, so that they serve Yahweh the Elohim. Do you not yet know that the Mizraim is destroyed? Mizraim is destroyed." And Moshe and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, "Go serve Yahweh your Elohim, who are the ones that are going." And Moshe said, "We are going with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, with our flocks and our herds. We are going, for we have a festival to Yahweh."
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So, interesting thing we want to kind of think about with this particular Torah portion here. I want to talk about actually verse 3. I'm going to look at verse 3 because of the fact when Moshe is speaking to Pharaoh, where he says that how long wilt thou refuse to humble thyself before me? How long will thou refuse to humble thyself before me? It's interesting when we think about Pharaoh, and I talked about this briefly before, when we talk about the relationship between Moshe and Pharaoh, and kind of how we think about the relationship between your spiritual mind and your carnal mind. Is where we get into these situations where we're directing our inner self to do a thing, and maybe we listen and maybe we don't.
Right.
But you have to get to the place of being able to humble yourself, right? And so when we look at this word over here for humble in verse 3, that word is anah in the Hebrew. To depress literally means to abase oneself, to humble oneself, or to submit oneself. And so when we think about the idea of walking in the Spirit, you have this situation where you have both your carnal mind and your spiritual mind working to be in control of your body. Right? And something has to give in order for us to be able to actually be doing what it is that the Most High would have for us to be doing. So it's interesting that when we look at, again, the relationship between Moshe and Pharaoh here, where he's giving him the instructions to let my people go, but he also has kind of this, this prerequisite to getting to the place of letting the people go, which is humbling himself, right? And so again, when we look throughout the scriptures, we see various places where it speaks about pride, which of course is the opposite of humbling, right? Pride is something that lifts up, that builds up, that causes you to be like leaven does, right? That's pride. It lifts up, it makes you feel, a certain way. But this word anah, what Moses is saying that Pharaoh needs to actually be doing is actually the exact opposite of that. It's bringing down, right? Actually, the word actually is kind of forcefully bringing down, which you actually have to forcefully bring your carnal mind down, right? Because it wants to thrive, right? Your carnality wants to thrive. All of your physical senses want to be appeased.
And that's why Yeshua said to overcome all these things is fasting and praying. Because when you fasting, you're starving your flesh. He said the first interaction that we got with the world is to put the things out. The most direct form of putting something from the world in your body is eating. So when you stop right there, when you stop putting anything from the physical world in your body, because you got to breathe, you need certain things to live. But if you just live off your breath, because now you're just living off your breath. You're not putting nothing else in your body. No water, no food, just your breath. Now your body, the original form, now it can start this, where it says even this, in this definition, it says to abase yourself to afflict, because it's affliction. Your body's going to be asking you for food, but your spirit's like, no. And you're going to take control of your body when you do that. Mm-hmm. When you force your body into submission and say, no, you don't have to eat. That's why Yeshua did it for so long, to show that he could conquer his body and to conquer his his carnalness. Yeah. And that's the point of, building up being able to fast and to do it for longer and longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pam said, Yah resists the proud and gives grace to the humble.
That's the Bible right there. That's what the Bible says right there, right?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
And so looking at this Torah, this small section of the Torah portion really quickly, just getting kind of this little lesson, even if it's something that's just kind of, in passing almost. Moses wants Pharaoh to let the people go, but he's just giving us this picture, this idea of almost like a process that we're able to follow when we look at that. When we want to be pleasing in the Most High's sight, not to say that, well, I guess in some alternative world, Pharaoh could have been pleasing in the sight of the Most High.
To let him build up all he did, he was for a time. Because he would have destroyed it if he didn't.
Well, I feel
it became
like,
a great place for that point in time for his people to continue righteousness.
Yeah. I mean, he had a purpose and a place.
Of course.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I'm saying as far as being pleasing, like I guess the Most High could be pleased in the end result of the fact that he allowed for this nation to get to this
Right.
place so that Israel can come and pillage and whatever be lended to on their way out of the door.
The reason why he said to Moses, when I have you do these things, you tell them to your children. So people don't understand how powerful it is to be able to tell your children of something great that literally your people did. But this came literally from the Most High, so it's like his renown. Like, we don't speak unless we in his faith and we in this walk. Now we do, but our people don't look at the Most High to be like, he did this for you. Mm-hmm. Now it's whatever the world gives us. And we don't know why we suffer, because we don't know what he did for us to come back to him.
Yeah.
And that's why Moses said, tell your children what happened and what he brought us out of, so you remember to do it, or else you're going to be back in a pattern or a state of slavery, which now is a mental slavery.
Yeah.
People kill themselves, don't even know why. That's mental slavery. You're suffering on something that you don't have the knowledge. He said, we're destroyed for lack of knowledge, so you're going to suffer because you don't have this knowledge now.
Yeah. And, just kind of finishing up with the Torah, moving over into the New Testament, when you think about Pharaoh and his path, he did perish for the lack of knowledge.
Uh-huh.
He never was able to come to the true knowledge of the Most High, and so he suffered the consequences. And so, we're able to. You can refer back to one of our previous messages to hear me talk about this chapter in its fullness. It'll be down in the description section.